Today, I want to share a story with you. A story that might just change the way you look at your own dreams. It's about a girl from a small town in Brazil who had a dream so big it was going to ask for everything she had.
So this is the story of a girl named Sophia. And her journey doesn't start with wanting to be famous or rich. Nope. It starts with a promise that was born in a moment of absolute fear and incredible hope. Sophia's childhood was pretty normal. A simple middle-class family. Her dad drove a taxi, her mom was a teacher, and they both worked their tails off to give their kids a shot at a better future. But Sophia's dream, it wasn't just about a better life for herself. It was about saving lives.
And this moment, right here, this is where everything clicked into place for her. Just imagine you're 10 years old. You're in a cold hospital hallway, watching your parents cry, and you feel completely, utterly useless. And then this doctor walks in. He's calm, he's confident, he's kind, and he saves your little brother's life. That image, that feeling of just immense relief and awe, it was seared into her mind forever.
And right then and there, she made a promise to herself. A promise that one day she would be that person, the one who brings calm to the chaos, the one who saves a life. But as she grew up, she realized there was this massive, terrifying wall standing between her and that promise. And here was the problem, a huge one. Every single important medical book, every research paper, it was all in English. Now, at her school, she knew the absolute basics, hello, how are you? But trying to read a full sentence felt like trying to solve an impossible puzzle. Her entire dream was locked behind a language she just couldn't speak. Can you just imagine that feeling? The teacher calls on her, asks her to read a simple sentence out loud in front of everyone. Her heart is just pounding in her chest, the words on the page start to blur, and all she can get out is this tiny whisper. And then, the worst part. A few of her classmates laughed. And you know how that is? That sound just echoed in her head long, long after she left that classroom.
So she's asking herself this question, but it's not really a question, is it? It's the sound of despair. That one awful moment of humiliation planted this seed of doubt that felt like it was going to crush her entire dream before it even had a chance to start. For the very first time, Sophia felt completely and utterly hopeless.
But then, that same evening, something changed. Her father got home from a really long day of driving his taxi, and he found her just sitting by herself, looking like her world was ending. He sat down next to her and just asked what was wrong. And with tears streaming down her face, she told him everything. And what he said next, man, it changed everything. He didn't just say, it'll be okay. He gave her a solution, one that sounded totally crazy. He said, if English is the problem, then you need to go where people speak English. They didn't have much money, not at all, but he knew the biggest investment they could ever make was in her dream. And just like that, she took this enormous leap of faith. But landing in Toronto, wow, it was a total shock to the system. The cold was something she'd never felt before. The food was strange, and the loneliness was just crushing. And the English. People talk so fast it was just a wall of sound. She remembers someone at the airport asking if she needed a taxi, and her brain just completely froze. She couldn't understand the simplest question. So that first night, crying in her tiny little room, she easily could have just given up. Who would have blamed her? But instead, something inside her just snapped. She looked herself in the mirror and basically declared war on her own fear. No matter how hard it got, she was going to conquer this language. Her plan wasn't fancy or complicated. It was just pure, raw discipline. It sounds a little funny, but she'd literally walk around the city with her headphones on, just narrating her life to herself in English. I am walking down the street. That building is tall. She built her vocabulary piece by piece, 3 new words every single day, no matter what. And she forced herself to learn by watching movies without the subtitles, her only safety net. So months go by like this, just this daily grind. She was tired, she was often broke, but she refused to quit. And then one day, this tiny, seemingly insignificant thing happens in a coffee shop. She orders a cappuccino, and the barista asks her a simple question. The barista asked if she wanted almond milk or regular milk. And for the very first time, there was no delay, no translating in her head. She just understood. Instantly. Regular milk, please, she said. Now, for anyone else, this is nothing. But for Sophia, wow. That tiny little conversation felt like she just won a gold medal at the Olympics. It was the proof she needed that all the hard work was actually working. And that right there, that's the holy grail for anyone learning a new language. It's that magic moment when you stop translating everything in your head and you just start thinking in the new language. English was no longer this foreign code she had to decipher, it was just how her brain works now.
And with that huge breakthrough, the path to her dream finally started to clear. Suddenly, English wasn't this impossible wall anymore. It was the bridge that was going to get her there.
Now, of course, the challenges didn't just disappear. First, she had to crush this grueling English proficiency exam. Then came med school, which, my gosh, was a whole other level of difficulty. All this complex medical terminology, these fast-paced lectures. But now, her resilience was like a superpower.
Just think about it. Remember that girl in the classroom? The one who was so embarrassed and felt so hopeless? That girl was gone. And in her place was this determined, incredibly capable woman who was on the verge of doing what once seemed completely impossible.
And there it is, the finish line. All those years of sacrifice, of struggle, of just relentless, grinding effort. When she walked across that stage to get her diploma, she wasn't just getting a piece of paper. She was claiming the dream she had held on to so tightly since she was just 10 years old.
Today, Dr. Sophia Williams works at a hospital in Toronto. She saves lives, just like that doctor who inspired her all those years ago. She helps support her parents now, and she gets to travel. But the most important thing she gained, it wasn't the money or the career. It was this deep, unshakable confidence that she, and only she, had the power to completely change her own life.
Her story really boils down to this one powerful, kind of scary truth. No one is coming to do the hard work for you. Her parents could support her, sure. Her teachers could guide her, but only Sophia could walk that path. Her future was in her hands.
And that kind of brings us to you, right? Sophia's story proves that sometimes a language can be the key that unlocks a future you can't even imagine right now. So if you have a dream that feels just way out of reach, what's the one thing, the one small step you could take today to start building that bridge?
Are you going to wait for the perfect time? Or for someone to come along and give you permission? Or are you going to decide right here, right now, that your dream is worth fighting for?
Because in the end, just like it was for Sophia, the choice is and always will be yours.